So this fight is very interesting to say the least. It may be, past its due time, but Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. So obviously Francis Ngannou just won his last fight against Felipe Lins a few days ago, knocked him out in the first round, and he had this like I would even call it a face off because like Jon Jones was in the broadcasting table and Ngannou was inside the octagon and he was like calling him out and they were facing off and but like from a mile away basically. But it begs the question. First of all, would this fight happen now? And second of all, who would win? I don't think this fight happens anytime soon because Jon Jones is still with the UFC. I'm pretty sure he's still under contract. So I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But we could still talk about how this fight could potentially turn out if it were to happen. So who would potentially win this fight? So we're talking about Jon Jones, who is obviously getting older in age. He's 38 years old. And you talk about someone like Francis Ngannou, who is, don't mind me, I'm just searching up his age. He's 39 years old. So there's a 1 year gap between them, but they're basically both pushing 40. In my humble opinion, I do believe that Francis Ngannou would beat Jon Jones today. Like, they're both technically not in their primes, and that's evident, towards their last couple of performances. When it comes to Jon Jones, he basically almost went to the fourth round with the worst version and the oldest version of Stipe Miocic. And when it comes to Francis Ngannou, it's like, yes, he knocked out Felipe Lins, but he also took some shots in that fight that he shouldn't have been, receiving, I guess you could say. But then again, it's a first round knockout, so it doesn't really matter what happened before that, right? Like kind of, your performance gets overshadowed when you secure the knockout. You know what I mean? But I do believe that Francis Ngannou is going to be Jon Jones, and let me explain why. So, the thing is with Jon Jones is that he was never really adamant and keen on fighting Francis Ngannou. Like, even if you believe that stylistically on paper, Jon Jones would beat Francis Ngannou, which I think he does have a good chance, if he is not confident in fighting Francis Ngannou, and he has been avoiding him for a while, then nothing really matters. You know what I mean? Like, if he's not confident in fighting Francis Ngannou, then it doesn't matter what kind of chances he has on paper. And second of all, when we talk about their stylistic differences, of course, Jon Jones has a higher fight IQ. This is not even a debate. Like, most of Francis Ngannou's highlights are just him swinging and knocking people out, which is like the main equalizer. Now, at heavyweight, Francis Ngannou is more built for the division. Like, he fits into that division, whereas with Jon Jones, he's fat and has that belly on him and stuff like that. And when it comes to their other physical attributes, Jon Jones likes to use his reach to his advantage against the other opponents that he fought in his career, right? He has an 84.5-inch reach. He likes to frame out a lot whenever he feels like he's in danger. But when you go up against somebody like Francis Ngannou, who has an 83-inch reach, I don't think it's going to be as efficient. And considering they're both also 6'4", Francis Ngannou could also wrestle and strike. So I think this is going to be a very dangerous matchup for Jon Jones. Like, for Francis Ngannou, you kind of have to beat him by decision because I don't see Jon Jones stopping him at all. I don't see him submitting him. I don't think that happens. Just because he submitted Cyril Gane doesn't mean that Ngannou would receive the same treatment. Like, we all saw how the rematch between him and Stipe Miocic turned out, where Stipe tried to take him down on multiple occasions, and obviously Ngannou stuffed all of them. And I know that was like 5 years ago, but still. That was like, I think, 2-3 fights ago, which like goes to show how inactive Ngannou is. But Jon Jones, obviously, I don't think he knocks out Ngannou. I don't think he just goes out there, toys around with him, and then all of a sudden he just lands a spinning back kick to the body like he did against Miocic. I don't think that happens. Ngannou is just, he's not washed like that, and he's not as brittle or as, I don't know what to say. Like, he's very durable. You know what I mean? He's not going to go out there and just get spinning back kick to the body and just knocked out. As smart as Jon Jones is, I don't think he gets the finish. And with Jon Jones, he's going to know that this is not Stipe Miocic in front of him. And this is not frail, panicked Cyril Gane in front of him with zero ground game, defensively and offensively. This is Francis Ngannou. Obviously, he's not the best fighter really anywhere besides maybe the power, but he could still hold his own. Let's not forget that he utilized his wrestling to beat Cyril Gane. That was the main equalizer in the fight, which is the reason why he won that fight by a close margin. He was able to stuff Stipe Miocic's takedowns. He also took down Renan Ferreira and stopped him with ground and pound. Francis is, I wouldn't say he's the most well-rounded guy, but he could wrestle, he could strike. He's not versatile as Jon Jones on the feet, but like, you really think Jon Jones is gonna go out there and be so comfortable on the feet to strike with Ngannou, knowing damn well that he could just land one of his haymakers and just put him out cold with one punch? Like, there's a reason why he has been avoiding him ever since, Jon Jones fought Dominic Reyes and Ngannou beat Stipe Miocic. There's a reason why he was out of the octagon for like 3 years, and ideally and conveniently came back as soon as Ngannou left the UFC. And a month later, Jon Jones comes back to fight for the belt against Gunn, for the vacant belt. Like, I don't think Jon Jones is confident, but if we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe right now, because, a couple of years have passed by, maybe right now he's a bit more confident than before. I still think that stylistically speaking, Jon Jones, I don't favor him to win this fight. I think he still has a good chance. But I just don't see how he could just go out there for 5 rounds, you know, outstriking and out wrestling Ngannou to a decision. Like, I just don't see that happening. I think at some point Ngannou might catch him, which again, to the general audience, will seem crazy because Jon Jones has never even been knocked out or even come close to getting knocked out. I think the last time he got hit with like a massive, massive shot that rocked him properly was like over 10 years ago. I forgot who it was against. Maybe it was against like, who was it against? Maybe like, I forgot. I don't even know who it was, but, you know, besides the point, we have never really seen Jon Jones properly hurt. So to the casual audience or to the general audience, they'll think like you're crazy. He's not going to get knocked out. But then again, Jon Jones has never fought anyone like Ngannou, especially not at heavyweight. You know what I mean? Like Cyril Gane is, for heavyweight standards, he's pillow-fisted. For heavyweight standards, I'm talking about. I'm not talking generally speaking because obviously, generally speaking, he has power. But for heavyweight standards, he doesn't have one-punch KO power. Stipe Miocic was over the hill, 40-something years old, coming off like 3-4 year layoff, coming off a knockout loss to Ngannou. I don't think Jon Jones is going to go out there and be super confident in his abilities to go 5 rounds with Ngannou, knowing damn well how big and strong and versatile and powerful Ngannou is. That's the hardest hitting guy in UFC history. You know what I mean? I think maybe Jon Jones could do well in the earlier rounds, but I can see him getting caught at some point, man. Like, especially when we are considering this version of Jon Jones. Yes, we can consider this version of Ngannou, who's not the best, but also this version of Jon Jones is also not the best. You know what I mean? Like, he's slower, more rigid, and it's like he's fatter than before, and he's not in his prime. He gets hit too often. Look at the fight with Stipe Miocic that he had. He got hit with shots cleanly down the pipe that he shouldn't be getting hit with. Imagine if that's Francis Ngannou. You know what I mean? Like, you can be on your bike all day long. You can't really utilize your reach all that much because Ngannou has like almost the same reach. He's as big as you, if not bigger, right? They're both the same height, but Ngannou weighs more. I just don't know. I don't know if Jon Jones can win this fight. You know what I mean? Like, this is an out of his prime Jon Jones versus someone like, listen, I think Ngannou is closer to his prime than Jon Jones is closer to his prime. That's what I personally think. And this is a weight class that Jon Jones, obviously he fought in here twice, but like Cyril Gane, that was like, didn't even go past the first round. And then the Stipe Miocic fight, that didn't really show us much because we all knew that he was going to win that fight. So there was like really no adversity going into that fight because we all knew that he was going to finish him. But the Francis Ngannou fight is very interesting, man. I don't know if listen, does Francis Ngannou knock him out? Potentially, yes. But I do favor him to win nonetheless. I won't even be surprised if Ngannou wins a decision. Mixes in the wrestling, makes Jon Jones fearful of his power, intimidates him with the power, stuff like that. Although Jon Jones has the IQ advantage, I could still see it going Ngannou's way. He's more athletic, and just overall, I don't know, maybe it's the bias in me, but I just don't see how Jon Jones wins this fight, man. Like, if you couldn't get past someone like Dominic Reyes at 205, in convincing fashion, how do you expect me to think that you're going to beat Francis Ngannou? There's a reason why he took such a long layoff after essentially losing to Dominic Reyes, who's not even close to the level of Francis Ngannou, not even close in anything. And you essentially lost to him. And then when you came back, you had some favorable matchups, right? And you went the distance with a one-leg Thiago Santos and went the distance with Anthony Smith. Like all of these guys that I just mentioned would get absolutely flatlined by Ngannou. You know what I mean? And I know styles make fights, but it's just like I don't see Jon Jones winning this fight, man. But let me know what you guys think. Do you see him winning this fight? Do you think that he still got it? Because I think he's just too slow, gets hit too often. Like you could even argue that okay, but Ngannou is not as motivated, but so is Jon Jones. Like Jon Jones hasn't fought since 2024. He turned down that $30 million offer from the UFC to fight Aspinall. He retired like it's nothing. He's also not that motivated. So the motivation factor is not going to be that big of a deal because technically speaking, they're both not really that motivated. You know what I mean? But I do favor Ngannou to win this fight. Again, this might sound crazy because Jon Jones is considered by many to be the greatest of all time. Hard to imagine him lose, even though we've seen him fight Dominic Reyes in the past, and that was at 205. Dominic presents way less danger and threats on the feet than Francis Ngannou. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Jon Jones could pull this off even at this age, or do you think that Ngannou could potentially hand him his first ever real loss on paper? And I'll see you later.